Ladies and gentlemen,
will you take your seats, please?
Here we go.
There's the kickoff.
Marshall is set to take on Georgia State tonight in a Sun Belt Conference matchup at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. Marshall is coming off a 24-23 loss to Georgia Southern after giving up 21 points in the final minutes, while Georgia State lost 21-14 to Old Dominion following a late game fumble. The series between Marshall and Georgia State is tied at 1 game apiece. Marshall won the 2022 matchup 28-23, but Georgia State evened things up last year with a 41-24 victory. One of the main storylines tonight will be how Marshall's defense handles Georgia State's passing attack, led by quarterback Chris Vayu, who transferred from Pitt. Vayu has thrown for 1,284 yards and 9 touchdowns this season. Backup quarterback Zach Gibson, who saw action last week, completed a key drive and will also be a factor. Coach Huff shared his thoughts on preparing for both quarterbacks.
We've watched film on both, obviously. So we started, just to give a little, because we knew that this was kind of the week, we started gathering information on Georgia State back in the bye week, just because we knew it was going to be a short week. So we wanted to have a library of stuff to go to. You refresh it, take out what's not new. Saturday night after the game, we got back about 4. Coaches came right in. Most of us stayed here overnight, started working on them. So we found out that they played 2, so we had to go back to what we looked at a couple bye weeks ago, or last bye week. I think the starter, the transfer from Pitt, a little bit bigger, a little bit strong arm. If you look at, there's been some opportunities where he's maybe has missed some throws or missed some reads, but he's probably hit as many as he's missed. You don't have as much film on the backup. When he came in, this last game, he probably had the best drive of the game for them. He moved them down the field. But what you see is similarity. You see similarity in scheme. You see similarity in play call. You see similarity in what they're asking them both to do. So we'll find out whatever guy they start. Typically, there's a slight change in what you're asking each guy to do, and may not completely different, but there's a slight change based on a player's comfort level. What does he see well? I thought the backup did a really good job of getting the ball out of his hand quickly. I thought the kid from Pitt has a really strong arm. He can get it down there. The big receiver, number 16, we got to do everything we can to not let him get loose on the post ball or go ball, because he can run. The quarterback that's been throwing it to him can throw it. So we got to do a great job of having poise in the back end. That was one of the things that I thought we did improve on. We didn't have as many pass interference and holding calls in the back end. We're going to be challenged again from that perspective, because they're going to try to push the ball down the field. But I do think the schemes will be similar, with a slight change based on player comfort level is probably the best way to say it.
Marshall's defense will need to prevent explosive plays, especially from wide receiver Ted Hurst, who leads Georgia State with 349 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. Hurst is a deep threat, and the Herd's secondary will be focused on keeping him in check. Here's Coach Huff on how to handle Georgia State's offense.
Yeah, I think their offensive coordinator is doing a really good job. Coach Chaney's been doing this for a long time. Like when you watch their games, there's a lot of scheme adjustments by the week. So they're putting their players in the best position. Their running backs are running hard. The quarterback has done a really good job hitting some deep balls down the field to the big receivers. That kind of gets them going. They do a good job in the screen game, which gets the ball out of the quarterback's hand quickly. And then they kind of have a pattern of how they attack certain defenses. Each week, obviously defenses are different, but the way they attack them, or they're attacking their deficiencies. And their quarterback's doing a really good job of taking care of the ball. There's not a lot of turnovers. The running backs are running hard. When their offense is going, they're getting positive yards. What we've got to be able to do is try to get them behind the line of scrimmage a little bit, and try to eliminate the explosive plays or the deep balls.
On the offensive side, Marshall will rely on running back A.J. Turner, who has been a key player this season with 3 100-yard rushing games. Turner will be facing a fast, physical Georgia State defense. Here's Coach Huff again, this time on what to expect from the Panthers' defense.
Defensively, to me, it starts up front for them. They got a really good group up front. Not as big as far as weight as the Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern was a little bit more of a bulkier group. These guys are a little bit more quick twitch. They're playing really physical up front. They get off blocks. They got to outside linebacker rush in, that's doing a really good job. He's a long guy, creates a lot of havoc in the pass game from a tackle blocking perspective. And then their DBs are active. They get their hands on a lot of balls. I think they run well in the back end, so it creates some coverage issues. And then I think their defensive coordinator is doing a good job of doing what they do well. They run to the ball well, so he's got guys in space running. They tackle well. They're playing a lot of linebackers, at the linebacker position, because they've got a lot of guys in there who can come in and make plays. So what you see a fast, physical defense. What we've got to be able to do is obviously block them. That's the first thing. And then we've got to be able to take advantage of the voids based on their speed. If everybody's running right, we got to try to get in areas to the middle or the left, and put our guys in position to play fast as well.
Defensive lineman Mike Green spoke about Georgia State's offense and what the Herd needs to do to counter the running and passing game.
Yeah, so they got a bunch of good athletes on their team, like as a whole. Their offensive line, they got good hat speed. They're able to go left and right very fast. I think that they have a good quarterback, and I think they got two good running backs. We kind of have an idea of what they may do. I know they kind of base their plays off of what fronts that we're in. So we have to go back and film, and instead of just seeing what plays that they're running, we got to see why they're running these plays. And if we're in a certain type of front, we can expect these certain type of plays.
Marshall's offensive line, led by Logan Osborne, will be critical in this game. Osborne highlighted Georgia State's quick, athletic defensive front.
I think they're really physical. As a defense, they're big up front. They're athletic. They got some twitch to them. They're going to get after the passer. They're good at that. They're also good at stopping the run. I think overall, their defense is pretty underrated. They got some good players with some really talented, skilled players as well.
Marshall defensive lineman Jaden Yates summed up Georgia State's offensive strategy.
They want to run the ball and go deep. That's what it is. They want to establish their run game, and they want to take some shots down the field. I feel like defensively, that's what it comes down to, and we know that, and they know that. It's all about who comes out and executes their game plan on Thursday the best.
Marshall's defense will need to step up to slow down Georgia State's passing game, while the offensive line has to control the line of scrimmage to give A.J. Turner room to run. Coming up next, Bill Cornwell takes us through the rest of the Sun Belt action when we continue with West Virginia and Appalachian Laborers District Council College Football Today. Presented by LiUNA, your workforce solution, WVLDC.org.